Day 44 of the Daily Stoic. Pleasure can become punishment. Quote, whenever you get an impression of some pleasure, as with any impression, guard yourself from being carried away with it. Let it await your action. Give yourself a pause. After that, bring to mind both times. First, when you have enjoyed the pleasure, and latter, when you will regret it and hate yourself. Then compare to those the joy and satisfaction you'd feel for abstaining altogether. However, if a seemingly appropriate time arises to act on it, don't be overcome by its comfort, pleasantness, and allure, but against all of this, how much better the consciousness of conquering it. Epictetus Enchiridion 34. Self-control is a difficult thing, no question, which is why a popular trick from dieting might be helpful. Some diets allow for, quote, cheat days, 1 day per week in which the dieters can eat anything and everything they want. Indeed, they're encouraged to write a list during the week of all the foods they've craved so they can enjoy them all at once as a treat. The thinking being that if you are eating healthy 6 out of 7 days, you're still ahead. At first, this sounds like a dream, but anyone who has actually done this knows the truth. Each cheat day, you eat yourself sick and hate yourself afterwards. Soon enough, you're willingly abstaining from cheating at all, because you don't need it, and you definitely don't want it. It's not unlike a parent catching her child with cigarettes and forcing him to smoke the whole pack. It's important to connect the so-called temptation with its actual effects. Once you understand that indulging might actually be worse than resisting, the urge begins to lose its appeal. In this way, self-control becomes a real pleasure, and the temptation becomes the regret. Oof. I like this, guys. I like this so much, and I will tell you why. The reason I like this so much is because the entire time I was reading this, I was thinking about myself as a younger man and how much tomfoolery I did as a younger man, and how pleasure can certainly become a punishment. I love this. Let's read this again. After that, bring to mind both times. First, when you have enjoyed the pleasure, and latter, when you will regret it and hate yourself. I have a bad relationship with Jim, last name Beam. In high school, I don't care, guys. I'm telling the story. I instantly regretted it in my second brain. But you know what? I'm on a roll. Let's go. I have a bad relationship with Jim Beam, and I've never hung out with that guy or that drink ever again since high school. Junior year in high school, we were all doing tomfoolery things as juniors in high school do, and I thought it would be gangster to hang out with Jim Beam the entire night. Just kidding. I hung out with him for about 4 minutes because my friends dared me to drink an entire bottle of this thing, and I was like, come on, bro, it just burns a little bit. It burns, doctor, is what I was saying later. 3 days, alcohol poisoning, I almost died. And anytime, you guys, come on, let's be real. For those who are old enough to drink, you have a relationship with an entity like that, don't you? In which once you sniff it, you start dry retching. You know what I'm talking about. That's my relationship with Jim Beam, and that was what I was thinking about when I was reading through this. Pleasure can become punishment. Now, obviously, in many cases, if you're older, you've been here, you understand this, and you can laugh at the days of yore, the days of past, right? Of when we did this foolishness. But at the end of the day, even as adults, we still have this. We still struggle with this. And if you're a younger listener here, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Temptation hits you, and pleasure can become a punishment in your teenage years, your tweens, your teenage, your college years, your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. Guys, it'll be there to the day you die. And the question is, and I think the whole whole idea of this entire chapter is moderation. But beyond moderation, understanding how it ends. You've been here. Trust your gut. You know what the regret's going to look like. And this right here, this last line, guys, is the juice. In this way, self-control becomes the real pleasure, and the temptation becomes the regret. You know, I understand this so well. I think it's probably because I made so many significant mistakes as a younger man. When I was also a younger man, I was also a leader of a youth group down here at downtown Atlanta with college kids. And what I always found so fascinating with the college kids is a lot of the questions they would ask when it came to temptation, in the context of temptation, these types of things, is it didn't matter what question they asked. The model of the question was always very similar. And I caught on this very, very quickly. And the model of the question was always, how far, Peter, can I go until it becomes a problem? And even in my later 20s, when I was, volunteering and helping out, even in my ignorance, I had enough wisdom to say the short answer is don't even go. Because as a younger man, especially, you always want to go to the edge of the cliff, right? You want to test the limits. You want to see how far you can go without getting in trouble, right? And I get it. And that's what these kids are always asking me about. They're always being like, Peter, how far can I go before it becomes a problem, right? It's like, bruh, that's the wrong question to ask. The real question is, how can I create a life in which I am not bombarded with decisions all the time? And in most cases, the outcome of these decisions is almost always going to be bad. It's going to be a poor decision either way. Well, Peter, why is that? It's because it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You've had probably more than you can drink. And almost any decision at 3 o'clock in the morning when you have a lot to drink, probably going to be a bad decision. So we can remove any of the risk exposure by not putting ourselves in positions and or environments where almost every decision is going to be a bad one. See you in Discord, MetaFam.